everybody. I'm Skip Alzheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime streaming show where we watch old 16mm films. This film was brought to us by someone in the area, and it looks like it was TV footage of a TV character in North Carolina, the Old Rebel, who I was told in the 60s hosted a show where they showed old westerns, and maybe cartoons even. The Old Rebel was part of a parade in Siler City, North Carolina. Siler City, I think, is like 45 minutes from here, maybe an hour. And it was sponsored by various folks, SEAL Test, then a barbecue, kind of a sausage factory, I think. Anyways, that's some old TV footage, captures a slice of life in Siler City, North Carolina. Pretty great. And so we transferred that for the person, and then they said, here, you can have this. And so we now have this film in our archive. We don't ask that people do that. They just sometimes are like, we don't have a need for this. You gave us a really nice, high-quality copy of it, and if you have it, and if we need another copy, then we can just come back to you. So, there you go. So this next film is from a collectors in Houston. This is Adrienne's Man. This is the Nelsons film. Enjoy.
Please, Mama, this one's on me. Adrian, where do you think you're going?
How?
Yeah, you wait. Wait right there. That's the way Mama feels about Jerry, right?
How'd you figure that one out?
Look, I come home for the holidays, wipe out all my cash to make the trip, and then I land in the middle of World War III. Well, Merry Christmas to the bunch of you.
Sam, it is not my fault. You know how Mama is. And just because Jerry's older than I am, that's supposed to make him bad news. Why don't you go out with nice young boys like Henry Keller? Henry's idea of a big time is raiding the refrigerator. Jerry's a man, has his own car, his own apartment, and he takes me places Henry wouldn't know how to find.
Well, Mama can be pushy. I'll give you that. But everybody's worried that you're going to try and handle things that you can't cut.
Booze, sex, drugs. I know.
Well?
Well, what?
Booze, sex, drugs.
So Jerry drinks a little. I don't like the stuff. Sex. Sure, Jerry wants to, but I said no. Drugs. Well, some of Jerry's friends smoke, and a few are into pills. But he isn't, and neither am I. That's satisfied.
Now look, Adrian, I'm not trying to be a parent. It's just that I can see both sides.
And you're not on my side.
Well, Jerry's too old for you, and that's a fact.
Sam, there's 11 years difference in Aunt Becky's and Uncle Rob's age. And everyone talks about what a great marriage they have.
Well, who's talking about marriage? Besides, Aunt Becky and Uncle Rob were in their 20s and 30s when they met. And that makes a big difference.
Says you.
Where are we going?
I'm going to meet Jerry. Can't speak for you.
Adrian, I don't have time to play games with you. Jerry will never amount to anything, but that's not the point. A guy his age who dates 15-year-old girls...
This 15-year-old girl...
just can't cut it with girls his own age. Now, look, maybe he's not trouble. But, Adrian, Jerry pushes you around more than Mama, and that's what's scary.
Where did you get that idea?
Well, you're just swapping bosses. Look, whose idea was it for you to meet him someplace instead of him coming to pick you up? Uh-huh. Whose idea was it for you to call him so he wouldn't have to talk to any of us on the phone? Yeah, I figured that one out. He says, Adrian, do this, and Adrian, do that. And Adrian obeys, don't you?
Shh. Go and tell the whole world. And you think he'll say, Adrian, jump in this sack, and I'll say, may I? And he'll say, Yes, take one giant step toward pregnancy. Sam, I'm growing up. A cool guy turns on to me. I like that.
Is this where he's meeting you? Where are you two going tonight?
To a friend's house. Maybe. Or maybe a movie. When I called, he hadn't decided.
You're headed for big trouble.
Sam, I don't want to lose Jerry. I wish everybody would get off my case. Nothing's right. Nothing. I'm scared. But can't you understand?
No, you ought to be scared, the way you talk to Mama. But why are you scared of Jerry?
I'm not scared of Jerry. I'm scared I'll lose him.
If you don't, what?
He's here.
So?
Ended. It's one of those open-ended, what we call a trigger film. It's meant to trigger discussion. So you would show this to a room full of students, and then there would be prompted questions that the teacher facilitator would ask, and he would create this kind of discussion, which is pretty great. So this one is particularly good. It's important to note that this was a health and human services film, and not every film from that time period featured people of color. So it's great to see that they were including that, because they realize that's part of the population they're trying to address. And so how do you do that? Well, you include people that are in similar life situations to you and of similar color. And so that happens a lot more in the 70s, and maybe this could, since there's no date on this, it could be even the 80s. I'm not 100% sure. But anyways, behind me I got a film set up on the telecine, which we use to watch films live. And this one I haven't seen. It's called Ascent. So enjoy. Wow, that was great. So that was distributed by Pyramid Media, and Pyramid did quite a few of these extreme sports films with no narration. They did Up, which won an Academy Award, and like I said, several others. I think there's one about skateboarding as well, about frisbee. Capturing that 70s sports zeitgeist. Let's learn about a world at your fingertips before the internet. This was made by Walter J. Klein Productions, which was a company based in Charlotte, North Carolina, which always had a sponsor for their film. So these are glorified advertisements. But this has some of the best countdown leader I've seen. It's really great. And so this is World at Your Fingertips. Enjoy.
20, 19, 18. Stop now if the numbers and sounds aren't together. Stop now if the projectionist is inexperienced. Stop now if you fail to clean the projector. Stop now if the film is chattering. Stop now if the picture is smeared. 3.
I think she knew. I think she knew all along. I mean, there were no other sounds on that street. No cars, no people, no breeze, nothing. All she could hear was the spiked heels hitting the pavement. The sound of their clacking began to echo in her mind, began to erode her ability to reason. I could see it in her eyes. They were darting frantically left and right, searching for a clue, a shred of evidence that would confirm her mounting terror. But she never saw me, not until the instant I leaped out and grabbed her throat. But I never saw the can of mace she had been holding all that time. The cop said I was lucky to be alive after she emptied that thing into my face.
Do you realize we have been promised and engaged for almost 2 years and still have not had a quarrel?
Do you feel we are not complete people until we've had a quarrel?
No, it's not that.
Oh, I see. You want to see how we handle a spat. Who shall be the victor and who the vanquished?
A girl needs to know such things.
Let us begin. Select a thorny subject.
How about jealousy? Oh, Roger, some fight.
What'd you do yesterday?
I spent yesterday afternoon just reading. What a great day. You know, I really get a high out of a good book. I could read forever.
My idea of a good afternoon is cooking.
You're kidding.
Oh, yuck. No, I really like to cook. I just got a new wok yesterday and it's terrific. Just chop up chicken and vegetables.
Oh, you know, there's a great new Oriental cookbook out that I think you'd like.
Oh, speaking of books, Karen, do you have my exercise book? Promised Pam I'd loan it to her.
Yeah? Oh, hi, Jane. Yeah, I just got done running 6 miles. Whew. Did you get all that algebra done? Yeah? Great. Sure, I'll be right over. Of course I got it done. Right, I'll be over in 5 minutes.
The American home. It comes in many shapes and sizes, midtown apartments, beach condos, farmhouses, and rented garages, as well as homes like this one. But whatever the structure, whatever the lifestyle of its inhabitants, there is a common thread from home to home: the good book. Those who measure their wealth in terms of the books they read and cherish will have hundreds, thousands of good books in their homes. Thanks to good books, the American home is a place of learning, a place of discovery, A place where all manner of memorable and wonderful things happen. A place where you have the world at your fingertips. The American home is where authors come to visit. They arrive one by one, a marvelous parade of the world's great literary giants. They arrive in neat packages of books through the mail to homes in cities, in suburbs, and in rural areas throughout the country.
Hi, how's my little sister?
Hi, Dottie.
So how's life in the big city?
Well, I just received my latest book from the book club.
Oh, really? You know, I got some literature in the mail from some book club myself the other day. So, how's the book?
Well, I only started reading it, but I'll let you know.
You know, I just never got into the book club habit like you did. I don't know, I guess I never gave it much thought. Isn't it limiting?
Limiting? No, not at all. It's like going to the supermarket rather than the corner grocery. There are lots of books and lots of subjects, and I can buy as many or as few books as I like each month. It's a good way of keeping up on books, too. About every month I get a new catalog. Oh, there must be 100 books in here, all of which you can read about before you buy.
There's got to be some catch to this book club deal, though.
No, none. I simply choose what I want. It's not like I have to buy a book a month.
But you do have to buy a certain number, don't you?
Well, yeah. But it's no big deal. In fact, I buy a bunch more books than the club requires.
Yes, and on the other hand,
You end up spending a lot more on books every year than I do, too, right?
Only if I buy a lot more books than you, which I don't think is possible. But what I actually spend on each of my club's hardcovers is a good deal less than what you pay for each of yours.
Huh. You know, when you put it like that, the book club begins to make some sense.
You bet it does. And these are terrific books. The new ones, the old favorites, and they come from all the major publishers, not just one.
No kidding.
Nope. And another thing about my club is that they develop certain books for their members, and at really low prices. Hey, Ben's here cooking dinner tonight, and I do believe the soup is on. So I'll call you tomorrow, okay? Bye. Dinner ready?
Almost. The question is, with all those books around the house, how can Dottie not be a member of a book club?
I don't know. If she were, she'd sure save a bundle and put some style into her book habits. I mean, you listen to Phil Albright when he suggests stocks and bonds and such.
Right, 'cause that's what he's supposed to do. You know, scope out the market for you.
Well, that's what my book club does for me. It looks out for the best literary prospects around.
So you don't spend money on books you don't want. Sounds good. Maybe you can spend some money on me. Or your next election. Which is going to be what, by the way?
I don't know.
Being a member of a book club can be both rewarding and fun. It's easy to do and can make book buying convenient and inexpensive.
I think I'll try one of those old-timey romantic novels where the hero sweeps the fair maiden off her feet.
To apply, you simply fill out a form and mail it in with your book choices. Once you're accepted as a member, you'll receive your introductory books. In some clubs, up to 6 or 7, for as little as 99 cents plus shipping and handling. In turn, you agree to purchase a set number of books.
Oh, honey, how would you feel about joining, a book club? Look at all of these choices we get.
After that, you'll receive a magazine about every 4 weeks describing the selections of the month. The magazine is a good way to keep up on the latest fiction and nonfiction, giving you clear descriptions of each book.
You know, I would like a decent historical novel to lose myself in after the kids go to sleep.
You can order from your home at substantial discounts and have the books delivered to your door. Get the latest bestsellers, cookbooks for gourmets and working women, spine-chilling mysteries, books on current events, and great adventure stories.
Hey, what's going on? We ordering books here? 'Cause there's some I'd really like to have.
Well, take a look.
You can order children's books that will fascinate and delight young readers. Romantic novels, sex information from professionals, new concepts in health and beauty, biographies of the giants of our time, craft ideas.
Okay. Everybody gets a book. Let's see, we're talking sports, fairy tales, history, and a good old-timey romantic novel for me.
After fulfilling your commitment, you can resign, no questions asked. Or as millions of Americans have, you can remain a member for many years of good reading.
40, Gideon Kent thought. Before the year's over, I'll be that old. The country and the Kents has survived a great many disasters in that time. So have I, for that matter. But what about the next 40 years? Will I live that long? The philosopher Cicero said that a room without books is like a body without a soul. I agree. Not just because books are my profession, but because I think they're an essential part of life. I can hardly count all the good things that wait for me or you in a terrific novel by a favorite author. Characters you come to love or loathe and often remember forever. Experiences you could never have personally, leading a cavalry charge on a battlefield or dueling with an occult demon, romancing a member of the opposite sex in the exotic past, or meeting mind-boggling beings in the far future. When it comes to books, all kinds of books, but especially novels, I guess the only thing I'd place above the pleasure of reading and owning them is the pleasure of writing one of my own.
Reading has always been a vital part of my life. From the time I was a little girl, the characters in the books I read became my very good friends, people whose lives I shared. I love to reread a favorite book and visit those people again. It's astonishing how much I get to know about them that I missed the first time around. That's why a personal library is so important and enjoyable to me. It's the greatest pleasure to be able to browse through it and select a book to suit my mood, a novel, a biography, a thriller, poetry. Books invite me into so many worlds. There are thousands of authors whose written words are waiting to entertain and inspire all of us. Don't cheat yourself of the pleasure they can give you. Invite them into your home to stay.
Everyone is a character in search of a book to be alive in. That's the way millions of book lovers feel. To them, movies and television are simply books with the imagination removed. After all, books are humankind's great equalizer. Everyone is on the same level when they are reading the same book. For book lovers, heroes are not political or military leaders, but authors. And the most readily available source to reach those literary craftsmen is the home library. But you don't build a home library by acquiring collections of indiscriminate titles. Instead, you slowly and conscientiously build a library of books that you will want and need and cherish through the years. In doing so, you will be creating a unique opportunity to use your time in very personal and very special ways. Through your books, you can explore the world at its most brilliant. You can experience the world at its most laughable. Or you can escape to any realm of thought imaginable. And you can do it all on your own terms. After all, with your own library, you will have the world at your fingertips.
Return the print immediately.
I cut it too soon, but it basically had at the end, I don't know if you caught it, it had big block text that said, return the print immediately, and then a voice that said, return the print immediately. So, this would have been distributed to TV stations, looking for some free content, also to libraries, and I think I got this from a school. That was his deal. Walter J. Klein would come up with this idea for a film, and then he would reach out to clients who he would want to sponsor it. So this is one that's really, it's really an ad for Doubleday Book Club. And my guess is that, like the record clubs, these are cheaply produced copies, and the artist or author doesn't get as much money as they would if it was distributed through normal sales, like it would be some sort of secondary sale thing. That was the scam with the record clubs, was that it was basically the artists weren't getting, it was kind of bundled under some other thing, so the royalty they would get was actually less. That's what I have been told. That might be anecdotal information, but, Okay, so this next film, this is what we call a kinescope, in that it was shot on video, edited on video, and then because there was a time where there were more 16mm projectors in schools than video cassette recorders or videotape players, things would be bumped back to film and distributed. That happened in the 90s, and this film looks pretty late. And in fact, I've not seen this, and I've not seen this series. This is Encyclopedia Britannica, kinda. I wonder if this, because I haven't seen it, I just quickly scanned through the first couple of seconds of it. I'm wondering if this is European or British, and I don't know why. I think it's because of the house. And because of some other thing that's going to come up that I'm not going to talk about. So anyways, this is, oops, let me change the title. Body Talk. Breathing. Oh, so you can see how poor of a typist I am. And talking. And in keeping with good teaching practices, all materials should be previewed before screening. So there you go. Enjoy.
Who do you think you are? What do you want to be? You don't have to look very far. You're already somebody. Somebody. Talk about your head, let's talk body talk. Talk about your toe, let's talk body talk. Talk about your eye, let's talk body talk. Talk about your mouth and nose, body talk. Talk about your skin and bones, body talk. Talk about your heart and blood, body talk. Talk about your breathing in, breathing out. There's this much to talk about. Let's talk body talk, body talk. Let's talk body talk, body talk. Let's talk body talk. Everybody got something to say.
When you go outside, there is something all around you. You can't see it, touch it, or hear it, but you can't do without it. What do you think it is? It's air. The air we breathe is all around us. We breathe air in through our nose and mouth. But then what happens?
The air goes down your breathing pipe, which leads to your lungs. Your lungs are like sponges full of tiny holes. When you breathe in, your chest gets bigger, and the holes fill up with air. Some of your blood travels past the holes and collects useful, clean air from them. Then the air can be carried all over your body. Worn-out air is carried back to your lungs by the blood and put back in the holes. Then, when you breathe out, your chest gets smaller and the holes get squashed. So the worn-out air gets pushed out, up into the breathing pipe, and out of your nose and mouth again.
All mixed up in the air you breathe are tiny bits of dust and dirt. These all get trapped by little hairs inside your nose. But sometimes bits do get into your nose and throat, so you have to cough or sneeze. This blows out the dust or the slippery stuff that was in the way. It's easy to cough. You can do it when you like. But a sneeze happens all by itself when something tickles your nose or throat. Something else that happens all by itself is hiccups. These are little jerky breaths that are too small to let air in and out of your lungs properly. If you take no notice, they go away just as suddenly as when they started.
Sometimes you need extra air because you're tired. Then you take a huge, slow breath with your mouth wide open to get lots of air in. This is called a yawn. Sometimes you need a lot of extra air, like when you're running and playing. Then you have to breathe much more deeply and much more often. Afterwards, even when you've stopped, you have to go on breathing extra fast to make up for all the air you've used up in running.
But there's one more thing you need air for.
Ben, Lisa, come and get it!
Making sounds. Talking is just breathing with noises, and what comes out of your mouth when you talk is just air with a sound on it. In your breathing pipe, halfway down your neck, there is a voice box with two smooth, stretchy flaps inside. When air goes over them, they wobble and they make a sound. Look at these people talking. They are using all the noisy air from their voice box to make different sounds, and their lips, their mouths, their tongue, their teeth, and sometimes their throats help make different words so they can talk to one another.
When you've learned how to make these different kinds of sounds, you have learned to talk. When you've learned how to make your voice go up and down, you have learned to sing. You can sing a song, sing it high or low. You can sing about all the things you know. Sing about the clouds, sing about the trees. But if somebody shouts, "Oi, be quiet, please!" you can make your voice so soft they can hardly hear a word. And once you learn to whisper, you can't be overheard. So sing a song again, sing it like the birds. It doesn't even matter if you don't know the words. This is what you do if you don't know what to sing. You make another noise called whistling.
Whistling is made with your mouth, not your voice. You make a tiny hole with your lips and blow air past your teeth through the hole. Some people can whistle. A lot of people can't.
Blowing out through your lips is very useful for other things, like cooling down a hot drink. If you make a little hole with your lips and blow fast, the air that comes out is cold. Blow out slowly with your mouth open, and the air comes out gently and warmly from inside your warm lungs. That is why you breathe on your hands to warm them up. On a very cold day, you will see your breath, because the air carries some of the wetness from inside your lungs, which turns into tiny water droplets when the cold air touches it.
So just think, you can't touch it or feel it, you can't hear it, and you can hardly ever see it. But the air around you is just as important to your body as the food you eat.
We've been talking body talk. We've been talking body talk. We've been talking body talk. Body talk. Body talk. Body
What made me think it was a British film? Because it was certainly dubbed over in American, so there's no British accents. It was maybe the fact that there was nude children logos, drawings at the beginning as part of their logo that they didn't seem to be ashamed of, whereas in the United States we are horribly ashamed of nude children nowadays. And the fact that they were coming out of that house, and it looked like it was like a house in London. It didn't have a big yard, which is the thing in the U.S. There's big yards. I don't know. That was what led me to believe it. But then, while we were watching, I looked it up, and then Neil Innes. I'm not sure if I'm saying his name correctly, but basically one of the members of Monty Python's Flying Circus, who wrote a lot of the amazing songs, and was in the what is it? The Bonzo. He was in a great band. What was it called? The Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. Is that right? Yes. Which predated Monty Python, but there was a lot of similarities. Wow. So is that a toe-tapping tournament contender? Is this something that we can bring back in March and vote on to see, so we can compete against the Found Footage Festival and trounce them? Maybe. I mean, there was some comments in there on even before I asked, you guys started saying like, yes, this is a toe tapper, no, this isn't. So in the comments, please list appropriately. In the meantime, let's learn how you can help. The animation in this is not the best, but it is visually stunning. Enjoy.
Dread four horsemen of the apocalypse is pestilence, the plagues that have scourged mankind since earliest times. Of these, none has claimed more lives than the White Plague, tuberculosis. Some of the greatest names in medicine have waged the war against TB since Hippocrates first defined its symptoms 500 years before the time of Christ. But it was a little more than 100 years ago that the chance observation of children listening to the magnified sounds of tapping on a hollow log gave Laennec, a young French doctor, the inspiration for the stethoscope. Later in the 19th century, Villemin proved that TB was a contagious disease. Then Louis Pasteur discovered that germs were the cause of contagious disease. The German scientist Koch was the first to find the TB germ, the tuberculosis. But not until Röntgen discovered X-ray could the actual destruction caused by the germ be seen inside the living body. Modern sanatorium treatment in this country began in the Adirondacks when Trudeau found that rest, fresh air, and good food helped him to recover from the supposedly incurable TB. 1900, and with the new century came a new idea: to fight TB with knowledge, to teach people about TB so that it can be found early when chances for recovery are best. With this in mind, a group of scientists, physicians, and other public-spirited citizens founded what is now the National Tuberculosis Association. From these beginnings came the local TB Association in your community, formed by your neighbors in the interest of better public health. Here's how it works. The people elect a board of directors representing a cross-section of the community: businessmen and housewives, churchmen, doctors, educators, newspapermen, industrialists, and legislators. The board employs an executive secretary. Together they plan a program for tuberculosis control. The secretary needs a staff of trained technical workers to mobilize the army of volunteers so necessary for community action against TB. A program begins with fact-finding. The secretary must know how many deaths were caused by TB during the past year. Are there enough doctors, nurses, social workers, sanatorium beds, clinics, and hospitals? Are there special groups in the community with a higher incidence of TB? For his information, the secretary consults agencies like these: from them, he can fill in his picture of the community, learn its weak points, know how to build the most effective program. Of primary importance to such a program is health education, carefully planned with the help of other community organizations. For education must be more than merely telling a story. It must influence behavior, form habits of thought and action. Additional persons must be reached through those already educated. Finally, it must create a demand for more education, for which leadership has been developed. Thus, the association plans its educational program for the use of such groups as teachers and school administrators, speakers, churchmen, and those being trained for professional careers, doctors, nurses, and social workers. The association can reach all groups because its board of directors is drawn from all aspects of community life. Largely an educational job is the phase of the association's work known as case finding. Control of TB depends on finding the people who have it before there are symptoms, before the victims themselves are aware of it. Unknown cases are often found by the family physician in the course of physical examinations, and among young people by tuberculin testing in the schools. If people are made aware of the value of periodic chest X-ray, the TB discovered will usually be in the early stage. If, however, TB is not looked for until the patient displays symptoms of the disease, the cases found are apt to be in the far advanced state when cure is uncertain and costly. The association may be called upon to furnish X-ray equipment, X-ray film, or technical and clerical services until such time as the health department can take over the responsibility. Since TB control depends on finding unknown and unsuspected cases, a program to wipe out the disease must strive to X-ray every adult in the community. To do this, the health department and the Tuberculosis Association organize local committees made up of public-spirited volunteers. With their help and with the impetus given the drive by industry, church, school, and welfare groups, complete coverage of the community is assured. Those individuals whose X-ray indicates TB are re-examined by the private physician and the health department. The local association may help by supplying public health nursing, social service, or other professional aids as a demonstration to the community to show, for example, the need for adequate following up of the case. Follow-up work includes the medical examination and X-ray of contacts, the family and close associates of the person found to have TB. When the person with TB is receiving treatment, the association works with the sanatorium staff to give him and his family the facts they need to know about TB. The patient must be prepared, for instance, for a long period of bed treatment. Perhaps training for a new job will be necessary. For early in his sanatorium stay, the association and other agencies are beginning to plan for his eventual convalescence and reemployment. Once discharged from the sanatorium, he can look to his family physician as well as his TB association and health department for advice on his job, his recreation, and the facilities available for physical checkup. If the facilities for helping discharged patients and their families do not exist, the association must try to influence the proper agencies to appropriate funds to cover the needs. Among the greatest influencing factors open to the TB Association are the channels of public information. The press, from the large dailies to the hand-printed school newspapers. Radio and television. A year-round public information campaign, invaluable as an aid to an educational program, also serves to tell you how your money is being spent. What is being done for the public health in your community? The entire program of the Tuberculosis Association is financed by the sale of Christmas seals, primarily through the mail, or by volunteers selling TB seals and health bonds. Of the money collected in the community, 95% remains in the community and state where it was raised. Thus, the people who contributed can see the visible results of service within their community. The remaining 5% goes to the National Association, which, like the State Association, exists as a service organization for the local, channeling information, producing materials, and giving consultation. These three, the national, state, and local associations, work together to further TB control on their respective levels. In some instances, they can extend their work to other health needs. They also work together in the large program of research, from which it is hoped will eventually come the cure for the disease. Meanwhile, tuberculosis, once the cause of more deaths than any other single disease, is being defeated in the United States with the weapons now available. The goal of your Tuberculosis Association is to stamp out TB forever in your community. You can help.
So, tuberculosis was a big deal. It was very contagious in public spaces. It was debilitating and long-lasting, and it was a big problem, and big public health problem. And it kind of had some reemergences, and now there are some strains of it that are immune to antibiotic treatment. So it kind of never went away. So public health is pretty important, and this was a this organization eventually became American Lung Association. And so it's interesting, this film was made to fundraise, basically, and to talk to people about tuberculosis. But public health is a big deal. It's something to address and think about, and really, I'm going to soapbox just a little bit here. So my next door neighbor, died from COVID over the weekend, and I mean, granted, his health was very poor, but he was only a couple of years older than me. And so, please take precautions. We're not out of this yet. People are dying from it. And that's all I'm going to say. But makes me sad. I didn't really need that. Didn't really need... anyways, So anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in today. We'll be back again tomorrow. I won't be so downerish, but everybody have a good rest of your day and take care.